All right, everybody. Hi, I'm Shane Snipes, and you're listening to Sustainable 1000 as well as watching us. So if you haven't already, you can find us on your iTunes. We are there, as well as a couple of other places where podcasts are currently broadcast. I'm here today with Mark Cole. He is the manager of the technical development side of RIT's Clean Energy Incubator, as well as his other titles are sort of built into the other components of RIT and what it's up to. And I know one of the things he does as well as senior program manager. And anytime I hear a program manager, I'm always like, ooh, that's someone who actually like coordinates everything and makes everything happen. So do you find that to be true?
Yes, to a certain extent. There's elements of that, but I think it depends on the organization, I think, what that title really means.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Sometimes it's just you get to fill a bunch of forms out.
At times, yes. But that doesn't sound as sexy as what the other side is.
I know, right? I think I'll stick with my definition.
There you go. There you go.
For sure. So I've been traveling around the country doing 1,000 interviews, and today as I sit down and chat with Mark, I want to cover some things that RIT, or the Rochester Institute of Technology, actually brings to the table, which is not only a master's program and a focus on industry and business, but also a PhD program. And for those of you guys who know me, you know I'm looking for one. So I love sitting down with folks who actually have PhD programs to figure out what they're doing. I'm also really excited about the Innovation Center that we're actually sitting in right now.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the Innovation Center here and how it's associated with the university.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we do that, I'm gonna embarrass Shane in front of his audience a little bit, because last name is Mark Coleman. I just want your audience, in case, because I think he did say Mark Cole, and as long as I didn't.
No, I probably swallowed the man. Actually, I did say
and
Coleman.
I apologize if he did say Coleman. I heard it, and there's a little echo in the room.
It's my southern pronunciation. I go Coleman. It kind of goes away.
There you go. And it's my northeast, it's cold out today, so I'm still waking up actually. But just in case anybody wants to research on the web and get in touch with me, I just wanted to make sure they had the name correct. Yeah, the Innovation Center and the Venture Creations Incubator that we're sitting in, important elements of Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT, historically, and I think even more so going into the future. RIT really is beginning to market and identify itself as an innovation university. And that's still to be defined, but there's goals in place which are to begin to look at the internal intellectual property IP that we generate, the ability to connect the dots on students academically and through research and through their future aspirations with regards to where they want to be employed, the technology that they really get into, what drives them, and the ability to connect the two and draw out perhaps future businesses built around some core IP that can generate new jobs, be a source of economic development, and really a new force of entrepreneurship within the local community, and expand it out throughout New York State and beyond.
And IP is intellectual property again.
Yes.
No, it's really good. I just
yeah,
want to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm like the little pop-up video thing. Remember that from the 80s, pop-up videos?
I have to admit it, but yes.
See, contemporaries. It's great to see that, and I got a bunch of questions from my expert panel. I have a panel of about 15 or 20 people that I always send around my guests, and they send me back questions, and sometimes they get 5, sometimes they get 20. In your case, I got about 15 different questions from them, one of which was an Institute of Technology. Its focus is normally on developing technical components. What do you think are the major technical components of sustainability?
That's a great question. I'm going to pause on that one because I'd have to think about it. I could answer it from a university point of view, a personal point of view. Maybe I'll try and bridge both together in a sense. And for the external audience too, RIT has about 17,000 students. We have a very nice portfolio, I think, of colleges: College of Business, College of Engineering. We have the National Institute for Technology, Institute for the Deaf, that's housed here at the university. The Golisano Institute for Sustainability, which has the PhD program, Masters. The Golisano College of Computing Science, we have one of the largest and oldest standing colleges that confers degrees for computer science professionals. We have over 3,000 students in that college alone, very well known and respected there. College of Liberal Arts, Applied Science and Technology. So there's 8 colleges and a variety of academic Bachelor's of Science, Bachelor of Arts, Master's of Science, Master's of Arts, PhD programs here at the university. So, and you're right, all of them do have a certain technical discipline to them in terms of their delivery and preparing the students for being practitioners within their field of study out in the real world. When it comes to sustainability, I think it's the technical side of it depends on where the question's coming from. If I were looking at it from the point of view of somebody wanting to prepare themselves for the workforce, I would say earn yourself the ability to have a solid background in science and engineering and mathematics, and be able to understand at least the context of the technical side of chemicals in the environment, as an example.
Sure.
How products are engineered and how they're used, the physics behind that, the physics behind energy systems, the physics behind water systems, because truly I think those are going to be some of the elements in the future that are going to require sustainability practitioners to pick apart in terms of infrastructure, in terms of what our needs are, and deliver solid science-based solutions towards the improvement of those systems long term. So to me, that comes down to a fundamental understanding of some core basic mathematic science principles that if we all understood, I think that would be a good thing. But there's also a technical element of being able to have the information before you and do analysis on that information that is tangible, is just in time, has the ability to foster solutions that others may not see just based on the ability to analyze that data.
Sure.
So that's also a skill set I think that people can come to bear with it. And project management skills, the ability to look at a project, whether it's writing a research paper or doing a wind farm installation, and have the ability to cut across multiple disciplines, multiple professionals. And so from an implementation point of view, in the if I'll say the real world, the skill set technically to speak the language, have strong communication skills, have the ability to understand the baseline information knowledge of other disciplines, and generate a project management discipline that can see a project through. That's something that I actually see lacking in many instances. That can be a showstopper in a variety of settings.
Sure. I hear you there. And one of the things that I always find intriguing when I'm out in the field and I'm talking to people like yourself who are actually organizing what sustainability is and how it's being pulled apart at academic levels, a lot of times the discussion, it's difficult to not get into the weeds. You know what I mean? Because sustainability is such a broad subject, and so in order for us to have a thorough and understanding discussion for people who are listening, I always approach it from different angles. I feel like here RIT has a very specific technical manufacturing focus, from the research that I did at the school.
Yeah. I think that's true, and certainly out of our Golisano Institute for Sustainability, where we do have a PhD program and Master's of Science program that's focused on sustainable production, and that being very much in part that piece of the supply chain manufacturing embedded within it. But again, it is really the focus of design of products and orientation of those products towards societal needs, including that manufacturing footprint, including that end-of-life treatment of product footprint. So what do we do with products at their end of life? Do we recycle them? Do we reuse them? Do we remanufacture them? We have a very near and dear focus to remanufacturing here at the university through our Center for Integrated Manufacturing Studies, which has been doing a lot of work in that space in an applied way for years. And I think when you connect those dots, that entire value system is one that we look at in the context of sustainable production.
Sure.
What are those needs of society? How do we deliver upon those needs through product design? Then how do we minimize or maximize the value of resources expended during that value system, both in theory and then practically through the program? But RIT, I would say, as an applied research and technology university, I view it in my 7 years of being here as that's the core discipline here. the application of knowledge, the application of technology,
Sure.
the application of science towards a real-world societal need, whether that's here at the university or through one of our partners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that applied basis is what we've come to look at as a living laboratory. How can our university, and other universities have talked about this as well, how can we as a university be known as a sustainable living laboratory, deploy technology here and now so that we can reap the benefit operationally, whether it's energy efficiency, energy management, reduction of waste, reduction of water use, a variety of factors that you may want to look at. But knowing that that technology is not static. There may be improvements within the future, but we are, as a university, large, complex, and have the ability to have a level of adoption that can help us prove or disprove and validate that technology real hand, which ties in very nicely with research elements of what we do.
I mean,
ties in with student engagement and what students want to do.
I just wanted to jump in right
Yeah,
here because it sounds nice, and I've been part of academic environments before,
Yep.
and the administrative side versus the academic side, right? How do you bridge that barrier? Because there is a barrier there,
Mhm.
and it's built up in the infrastructure of how the university is constructed and how the university is administered. It's just how it works.
Absolutely.
So how do you guys get over that hump? And then at the same time, how do you create this living laboratory where maybe, you know, something like this would take a facilities person to actually agree to it, or a provost to say it's okay? You know, you have to have all those things in line.
Absolutely, and I think part of what you're touching on is the culture of the university and shifting that culture, long term, so that these things are considered, and so that living lab concept cannot just take root in somebody's mind and sound pretty cool, but actually be something that we live and breathe and actually is part of our value system. And I would say that's where we are now, in my opinion, as a university. It begins in my mind with the President Bill Dessler, who has a very strong commitment towards sustainability. Has been a signatory to the university and college president's climate commitment. We're establishing ourselves in that way so that we begin to look at the metrics. What should we be having in place? What should we be reporting out on? How do we align ourselves internally to deliver upon those metrics long term? But also the underside of that too, which is the students, the faculty, the staff, the researchers. I think in my experience here at RIT, there's a large fabric of individuals within what I'll call the ecosystem of the university that is very engaged, wants to see things happen, and is relatively collaborative and wants to work together towards some common solutions. And then there's this middle space, how to make all that happen. One of the things we're doing is we've put out to the market, we want to hire a senior sustainability advisor to the president to help us guide ourselves through that process.
Sure.
So long-term external reporting, but also internal alignment of all those different things that are happening: research, academics, facilities, transportation, and other elements that would comprise how we might look at sustainability internally. So as that individual gets hired and comes on board, we are in hopes that they will help us figure some of that out, knowing that we have top-down commitment, we have an underbelly of individuals that really want to help foster that system, and now it's really about which pieces to bring home. Other things that we do, though, is the Scalesano for Institute for Sustainability is an example. We are embarking on a new building project for that institute. We will be breaking ground sometime this spring for it, and it will seek out LEED Platinum certification ultimately. And let me pause. There's also commitment from the administration that all future buildings on campus will be a green building and perhaps seek a silver green LEED certification as part of their design right out of the gate. But the Scalesano building.
What about re-engineering the buildings that you already have?
Yep, it's certainly because it's just not about the new builds and showing off the exciting things, but how do you take the existing stock? That's